thing. Some people really can't take the course in the evening, and some are only offered in the evening, and some are only offered in the day, and people are working and need to do in the evening.
My point is that they offer it from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Can we get a mirrored class at like 4 a.m. to 6 a.m.?
I don't know. If you did it online, you can do it asynchronous, so people can do it at their own time.
Yeah.
The trouble is we don't have enough people. They really don't want a class to run with less than 15 people, and they would rather have 20 or 30. And so if you give too many sections, what you end up with is that every section has 7 people and none of the sections run. Does that make sense? It's more economics than practicality for people's taking them. We used to do like the summer classes used to be also offered in the spring, but at that time we were way full of students. We do much better. It's sort of sad, but when the economy is tanking, we do much better than when the economy is good.
Makes sense.
Yeah. All right, so let's get going here. Not a lot of people here, but I'll post this so people can have it. Do you guys have any questions? Did you guys have a good weekend? Yeah, busy. Yeah. It's almost over, for at least a week or so after this. One advantage if I could put those things online is I might not have to come in every day in the summer. I haven't had a summer off in decades.
Since you do your videos
Yeah,
religiously, I don't see there would be a problem with them doing the entire class. Maybe just come in once every other Saturday or something.
yeah, that's the thing. I was thinking I would the videos I would go through if I were to do it as an online class, and I would edit the videos. I would also probably put a decent closed captioning in it. You can edit it in YouTube. Have you ever looked at YouTube's closed captioning? No, I've turned it on.
Does it mess up my words?
Oh, it is gobbledygook. It has nothing to do with what's actually being said.
What is that thing with Alexa? They figured out why I was having trouble translating a lot of people's speeches because the programmers were Indian.
Oh,
and they spoke.
So it understood the accent.
Phonetically correct English, which a lot of Americans don't.
Oh, shoot. So my thing is done. There's a real funny YouTube video of some Scottish people in an elevator that's voice activated, and they can't make it understand them. And there's basically, they end up shouting at it, cussing it out, claiming glory for Scotland as they're stuck in this elevator. They can't get in or out. Finally, some other people get to come in.
I was at a convention once where there was a bunch of teachers from Georgia, a bunch of teachers from Australia, and a bunch of teachers from New York. And the Australian teachers could not understand the people from New England, but they could understand the people from the South, but the South couldn't understand the people from Australia. And so everyone was translating for each other.
Oh, I know why it's not going in.
Another reason to watch other national television a lot.
Yeah. I know, I watch a lot of British TV.
I'm the same.
And my wife has trouble with the British accent.
My husband has a problem with it too, but he's from Venezuela.
Oh,
different problem there.
Yeah, that's a larger context difference. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, go up into Canvas, and we'll look at the assignment. The assignment is actually less than what I usually talk about. So as I said, it's not very much. All right, come on in. That's okay. For some reason, I'm more discombobulated than usual today, so we'll see how this goes.
It's in this order we get it.
So courses. That should be right down here.
Like you said that he was going to knock off points for being late, but then out of nowhere he started doing it.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Who did that? I guess I should.
He's the only instructor at the school where I'm just like, you don't know how to teach, dude.
What instructor was this?
Was it
Only
2016
instructor.
winter
I ever
and
remember.
fall
I'm like, you don't know how to do
VM images the same?
very good. Technical
For
stuff,
SQL?
but not good.
I think they are, actually. Are you downloading the thing?
Is it Lucas first?
I'm gonna put it online.
No, he's even somehow got himself involved.
Oh, I was, I haven't used VMware in like 3 or 4.
Although from what I understand,
Yeah.
in the industry, it's really hard to find really good JavaScript instructors. 'Cause if you really
So
want
one of the
JavaScript,
things I haven't done, which I probably should, is update
Yeah.
the SQL Server, but most of what they've added has been only for Azure compatibility.
Oh, yeah, the manager.
Yeah.
Or like for like.
All right.
It's almost identical to, I haven't noticed any difference.
Yeah, there's, as I said, actually, if you could go back a long ways, and they haven't added much that affects us on this level. It's almost always, in terms of compatibility with Azure, being able to sync your databases, things like that. Networking features, really advanced features are all that they've really added. They haven't added anything fundamental in quite a while. 2005 was the biggest update to SQL Server. That was a really big radical change. They claim, so this isn't super relevant, but they bought SQL Server from Semantic, I believe. Yeah, back in, so if you go before 2005, it's really not their SQL Server, it's a purchase that they made. And then they rewrote the entire thing for 2005. So that
Is
was
Semantic still in business?
I don't know if they're still in business or not.
I think they got tore apart, didn't they?
Probably. I mean, if they're selling off their servers and stuff. All right. So I did a couple of things. These are not part of the assignment, but I'll put them in there. As I said, I'm going to post this script when we're done, and you can turn it in as the assignment if you want, or you can do it as we go. I'm just real quickly going to do the queries again that we did before. You can do, I'm going to use Metro Alt. So I'm just going to do select star from employee, and what I'm going to add is for XML raw, and I'm just going to leave it at that for right now. So this is just extra. So notice it gives us this link, and as I think you noticed last time, it's all just one line.
One continuous string.
Right, but if you click on it, basically what it does is it gives you this is how it looks if you just do raw with no arguments. These are attributes. You guys know HTML because the concepts are similar. XML, I'm not going to go into the full thing. I've taught whole quarters on XML. But XML is basically tags and attributes, right? And there's certain rules. One of the things that drove me nuts when I started XML is I'm used to learning a vocabulary, learning keywords, and there's no keywords. You just make up your own terms. Part of what companies do when they get together and they define XML schema, which we'll look at in a bit. There's nothing wrong with making it all attributes. It's really easy to access attributes, and basically it takes every field and makes it into an attribute. This has a underline on it because this is an XML fragment, but if you're loading it into an existing XML document, that's probably just fine, right? You might want a fragment because you might already have the shell. I find this a little ugly, but other than ugliness, as I said, it works just fine. So it makes a row, as the element. So I'm going to close that. Now you can do things like, I'm just going to do comma elements, and it will change it to like that. Again, there's no big difference in terms of functionality, just if you prefer or need it to be in elements.
We just write elements.
Yep, just comma elements. I'll go back to that in a second. It just, instead of doing it as attributes, you're doing it as elements.
Did you start the recording?
Yes. Good thing to remind me, though. I started it before so there might be a little dead spot at the beginning, but because my memory is 2 seconds long, let's make 100% sure. Yeah, it's right.
I remember you
recording.
saying it was running. I forgot too. So.
So just real quickly, there's a couple of other things you can add. I could add root if I want it to be a complete XML document. And this root name could be anything. It could even be root, or you could do employees or something. So when I run that, it's exactly the same thing, except now I have a root element. If you know HTML, one of the rules is that for a complete document is it must have an enclosing elements. So like HTML, the enclosing element is HTML. HTML, by the way, is a sub vocabulary of XML. They were all developed years ago by the US government under SGML, the Standard General Markup Language. They were trying to take all of the warehouses of data they had on paper and turn it into computer. And so they created a markup language so that they could format online to match the format of the paper. SGML is really complicated. HTML and XML are actually much simpler. So that's with the root. And then the very last thing you can do is, notice these are still just rows, which is probably just fine. So I'm going to close these out. But you can also do, if you do it right after the raw, you can specify what the enclosing record would be. Instead of row, you could say employee. And when I run that, the only difference is that instead of row, it says employee. That's as far as you can go with raw. But this is for just transferring the data. This is actually usually fine. And you can write this query from a C# program web page or something. I mean, this will work. It'll transfer it as XML. And there are objects in C# particularly that will just read the X. Basically, there's a data table, and you can say data table.load XML, and it will just load this and turn it into a tabular form for you on your web page. There's a lot of neat tools for this in Microsoft, and there's a lot of neat tools in PHP and other languages too. Just as a side, so this is usually used for transferring data from like different platforms and things. More and more, what's being used is JSON, JavaScript. It's lighter weight, it's faster, doesn't give you as much information, but it's being used more and more. Okay, I'm going to do really one quick thing, and then we're just going to do the assignment. So select X. So let's do a combined. What do I want to combine? So I'm going to do. Let's do select bus barn city bus barn address. I think, what is it doing there? Close. And then I'm going to go, so we want buses. Buses belong to a bus barn, right? So I'm going to just do bus key. I think that's all I want to do. Maybe bus purchase date. So what I want to do here is inner join, and then show how that can work as XML. From bus barn BB, inner join bus B on BB dot bus barn key equals B dot bus barn key, where, or not where, from, I don't need from, I want for XML, but what I'm going to do is auto, and the same kind of things work here, so let's do it as elements, and I'll do a root I can't type. I just call the root barns. Okay, so one of the things about auto, so we did raw. There's auto, and this is as far as I'm going to go with it, is it allows you to have deeper embedding, deeper indenting, deeper hierarchy might be a better word. So this isn't actually doing it as well as, yeah, it is. So notice we've got BB, which I shouldn't have aliased it, because I'm getting the alias. This is the bus barn, this is the city. These are all the buses in that bus barn, right? I could probably change the names to make it more readable. These are all the buses in that one bus barn.
Bus key and purchase date.
Right, and that's for all the bus barns. And then when we get to, did I see another BB? There's a lot of bus barns in there. So whenever you get to another bus barn, there should be a BB. Yeah, so there's another one. So we end one bus barn, we begin the next bus barn, and we have all the buses. So you have a deeper hierarchy. You have all the buses in a particular bus barn. And you can get, if you have multiple inner joins, you can get a fairly deep hierarchy. Does that make sense? I just wanted to show you could do that. And again, it's kind of ugly because I aliased, so I shouldn't have aliased. So if I do that, then it would be and when I run it, it'll just be a little bit more readable. And there are things you could do with that, again, if you need a deeper hierarchy in your document. Again, I'm not expecting you to I just want to show you that it's there. There's another one which I'm not going to show you because it takes too much time, which is called explicit. And in explicit, you have to map each field to an element in a hierarchy. So you're basically creating your own XML document and then saying which field you want to use to populate that piece. So explicit means you can actually design whatever you want for an XML document. All right, so now we'll do the assignment. One of the parts, so I'm going to create XML so it's XML schema, spelled right. And I'm going to call it, what do I want to call it? Let's look at the assignment. So it's an XML schema collection. I'm going to call it maintenance. Boy, that's a horrible thing. So XML schema collection. And then you give it a name. Now, to give this a name, don't run this yet. We actually want, and you can do this kind of just from this. We could just take this whole schema, and I'll talk about it. So we want to go down to the bottom of XML schema. I'm going to copy that. I hope I don't get any weird characters. And I'm going to do as, and then I'm going to paste that. And then I need to put it in quotes, the whole thing in single quotes.
So copy all the.
Yeah, so the whole thing, I'll go walk through it. So we're creating a schema collection. Does anybody have an idea what an XML schema is? We've used schema in a lot of different ways. This is another one. So what an XML schema is, no, this isn't in the book. What an XML schema is a document, it's an XML document that describes the structure of another XML document. So it's a schema in the sense that it's really about the structure of a document. Notice that this is, so we say that there's a name called maintenance note, that's the root element. It's complex because it contains other elements. What it contains is it contains title and it contains note. And it says that these elements have to occur in sequence. They can occur however many times. And then there's a follow-up is another element, which is not part of that block up there. It's not super important that you understand this right now. It basically what it is though is it describes another document, and you can use it to enforce that in any XML document entered into a database has to conform to this structure. So it's used to force you to your XML to conform to a structure. That's really useful because if it doesn't, you can reject it, and if it does, it's easy to program against, right? Because you know what the structure is going to be. When companies get together to decide what XML they're passing between them, typically what their programmers do is they get together and they design a schema. And then both companies implement the schema, right? You can, although this is in Visual Studio, if you write the XML document, there's a button that says Create Schema. I mean, it's pretty easy to make one, although I'd say most companies write it from scratch because they, just to be totally in control of them. So when I create the schema collection, so I just run it down, and it says it completed successfully. Another neat thing, though this isn't necessarily, you can take a schema in C# and you can convert it to a C# class with a single command. And you can also take a C# class and convert it to XML with a single command. So they're kind of nice that way. I'll show you where the schema ended up. So if we go down to programmability, let me close the tables. So programmability, there's a thing called types, and there's an XML schema collections. It's considered a type. It's like just like a class is a type of something, what you've done here is you've created a new type. And this new type is called a maintenance note. You could have, I added schema collection.
Maintenance note would be the type.
Maintenance note schema collection of the whole thing would be the type, but yeah. You could have just said maintenance note and it would have made it that the type, right? It's just whatever you name it. So you can define your own data types too if you really want to. I've never found a great reason to do that, but you can.
I found it, there was a question on the test about that, and I found it on
Oh,
Microsoft documents. But I didn't understand what the hell they were talking about, though.
oh, okay.
Because it says it's used to do the following: validate XML instances and type the XML data. That's
Right.
stored in the database.
Right.
Type. I couldn't figure out type when you type it in, or
Yeah,
is it the type of data?
it makes it a data type.
Yeah.
And then it also, as I said, it validates in that any XML you enter has to conform to this structure. All right, so what I was going to do now is with the data table maintenance detail, I believe. Let me do a quick select from maintenance detail. I think I have like one piece of data in there. All right. So I am going to drop the maintenance detail note. I'm going to turn it into so I'm going to drop it, drop column maintenance detail note. So it completes, no warning. I lost data, but it's all right.
Mine did. All right. Oh,
Did it just give you an error on the
on the
syntax?
formal. Yeah.
So I'm going to then, again, alter the table. Only this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, and I'm going to, instead of having it be in varchar, I'm going to make it XML. And then in parentheses, I want to put maintenance note schema collection. I'm not going to type that again. So what that does is we're going to, XML is a built-in type for SQL Server. It used to be, before they made XML a built-in type, XML was just a text field, right? You just save it as a text block. But now there's an actual built-in type called XML. It does some things that the text thing won't do, like it makes sure that it's a well-formed XML document. Even if you don't have a maintenance, schema, it'll at least make sure that it's well-formed. And this one, when we do this in parentheses, that means that it has to conform to that schema. So I'm going to add this. And if I refresh on tables and go down to maintenance detail, columns, you'll see that there's a, hard to see, but maintenance detail note XML, and then it has the, I don't know if I can bring that, I guess I could bring that up farther and get rid of my, so maintenance detail note XML DBO maintenance note schema collection. And I think the last word there is nullable, yeah. So let's add insert into maintenance detail. And again, what I'll do is I'll just drag the columns over. Whoa. Put a parentheses there. I'm going to break these down so you can see them. We don't need the maintenance detail key. Okay. And then for the values, whoa, oh, that's okay, but All right, so maintenance key, we actually don't have a maintenance, what, I have like one in there, right? I only have one, so I'm just gonna go with one. Bus service key, let's say, I don't know what bus service I did, but let's say 2, whatever that is. Employee key, I don't know, 8. So in the maintenance note, this is the point. I am going to, again, go back to Canvas. And this is the first, this is a note that I know will work. And again, it takes a single quote. And then it ends with a quote. And then it ends with a parentheses. Couple of things that can screw you up here. You can't have, if I had the quote here and this on the next line, it would fail. The first line of the document has to be this, and it can't have any empty spaces above it.
So if you went values, return, parentheses, return,
Yeah.
1, 2, 8, comma, return,
Yeah.
would work?
Yeah, that should work actually. I mean,
Because that's how I've been, because it reads a lot easier for me.
yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. And although I'm not going to show you here, if you have big XML documents or something, there are ways to load them from file rather than copy and paste them in. You make a variable and you give a path name and there's a command to load it from file, and then you just pass the variable in. That actually is a better way to do it. I just don't want to spend the time to show it right now. So if I run this, it should insert. And if I do a quick select, we'll see that there's an XML here, and then there's my document. And then why would you put your notes in XML? One of the things, and again, we're not going to cover this, is that you can also add an XSLT file which transforms the XML into whatever you want. So you could write a file to transform it into Word, or you could transform it into an HTML document, or you could transform it into PDF. So, and the thing is, you don't have to change the underlying XML. You can output it however you want, depending on the XSLT file. And also, you can use CSS with it. CSS will apply to maintenance. I might show you one thing when I'm done here, and then we'll be done. So I'm going to change something in this just to show you that it won't. If I do something, it won't work. So I'm going to do an F, capital F on follow-up. It is case sensitive, by the way. That's why I'm doing that. So if I try to insert this, now that says incorrect syntax. Why is that? Because I didn't go all the way to insert. Never mind. I want the XML error, not a SQL error. Up, up.
You just hit control or whatever it was, and then one arrow up.
I know, but I never can remember them. Okay, so XML validation, invalid content. Expected elements, and all of this is the namespace, which we haven't talked about. It expects a follow-up with a lowercase f, and instead it found follow-up with a capital F. All right, so it tells you in kind of wordy way.
Expected.
It expected a lowercase, but it found capital.
Go to the beginning of the year.
So XML validation, invalid content, expected element, and it goes through the namespace with the follow-up, right? And it,
Found, okay, that
and then it
was-
found, but what it found instead was with the follow-up. All right, I'm going to just change a couple of things in here. I have no idea what to
That's
type.
a more readable error too, I think.
Yeah, in some ways. I have no idea what to do. So I did the breaks. I'm not a mechanic. Trying to think of something to put in
B
here.
service,
The what?
B service,
B service?
A service and B service.
All right.
A service is like the full thing. B is just like kick the tires, check the oil, air filters, change the oil.
So I just want to add one more. So I'm just, and then I'm going to do, that still needs to be one. I have no idea what this will be. We'll do 9. Okay. That's probably not even a mechanic, but I don't care. What did I do? That conflicts with the maintenance. There isn't a 9. Well, employee key, there's the 9. Maintenance key 1. Bus service key. Oh, you know what? I probably only have 1 in there too. And then employee key, that could be anything. I think that's where it was the problem. Let's do 9 again. All right, so we have 2 rows here. And then I just wanted to show you a tiny bit, and if I can remember how to do this. This is we're just going to do select star from, do I want to select star? Let's just do select maintenance detail node. All right, let's do it. So maintenance detail note. See if I can do this query, lowercase q. I haven't done this in a long time, but that dot query tells it that it's an XML query. I may need to go to the log for this one. Just to get the syntax again. Okay, so it's declare namespace. I'm just copying that for syntax. I'll change the values. Maybe drop this so it's on. So we want to declare namespace, but the namespace here is this. I think it's in double quotes. Namespaces are used to disambiguate, basically to keep things separated from each other. Because you can make up your names, right? So maintenance node, and I did it as MN, and then I need to look at the structure. I want the titles. So the title is actually right underneath this. So we'll do maintenance node title. And was it capitalized? Okay, let's see if that, okay, and then it needs a parentheses as titles from maintenance detail.
Where do we get
So is it maintenance detail node or it's maintenance, there, it's maintenance detail node. Why does it not like that? Did I spell it wrong? Maintenance, oh, detail node, that looks good. It may just be that it's not updated yet. Let's see what happens. Yeah. So what it does is it's only showing the title, right? Yeah, we just did a query so that it just shows the titles of the thing. So you could just return those if you wanted. Let's see if I can get all of that in there. As I said, I'm going to post this. Now you can get really detailed about what kind of queries you do. I'm not going to. I just want to show you that there is a XQuery, which is a query language for XML, is fully implemented in SQL Server, so you can query any XML document. And you can query, this just returns an element, but you can return only those elements that have certain values too. Right, so you can do almost all the same kinds of querying on the XML documents that you can do on the SQL documents, but it's a somewhat different syntax. It's basically a path. So every element has the namespace in front of it. That's how it's separated. And then we in order not to type that more than once, we give it an alias. And then you just do, this is the root slash, and then you just, the element that we want to return. If we wanted to choose something inside that, the next thing would be to do square brackets, the element, the value you want in quotes, right? So there are ways you can do fairly sophisticated stuff here. So that's the whole assignment, actually. I will show you one last thing if I can remember, and then I'm going to let you work. So you can just cut and paste this once I post it if you want for your assignment. Questions on that? That's a tiny, took a little longer than I wanted, but an hour thing on something that we could literally spend a quarter or longer on. And the other thing, as I said before about XML, it is everywhere in programming. It is all over the web. It is in every document structure. Word is XML underneath. Google Docs are XML underneath. So is Excel. PDFs are XML underneath. Everything is XML. And one of the advantages of that is that it's all queryable, it's all searchable. It makes it everything more thing. But generally, you don't see the XML as a user. It's all machine talking to machine, you know, for the most part. If you're a developer, you might occasionally have to end up writing some XML. A lot of it is auto-generated, though. The tools are out there just to generate the XML fairly quickly. This is just a side thing. This has nothing to do with, I told you that there's, let's see if I can get to, Okay, this is still there. I'm actually sort of surprised that it's there. I'm going to the curriculum. This is sort of my resume that I haven't updated in years. Instead of resume XML, though, I am going to do I think it's XSL. It might be XSLT. I want to display it. Oh, I know why. So anyway, you might notice up here that the path here is XML. This is an XML document. And I've applied XSLT to it. I'm going to leave here. Okay, so this is the XML. And then what I wanted to do, I believe it's XSL. None of the browsers will display. They used to display it so happily. So this is what the underlying document looks like. So it's an XSL template. This is XSLT. And it goes through and it tells you to take the XML document and how to display it. Actually, on this one, can I look at the use source?
Yeah.
This is what the actual XML document looks like.
What is the XSLT?
It transforms it into HTML. So, I mean, it's also what can transform it in from XML to HTML for display. So this is the actual XML document. Notice these are the skills that are listed out. This is sort of heading info. This is activities. And then down here, curriculum development, and then education and employment, publications, awards, etc. Right? And then, that's how it looks. But to make it look that way, because this is actually how it is, that's where this comes in. This is an XSLT document. And one of the statements at the top of the XML document is to use this. And it comes through, and notice we've got, it sets up the head elements. I mean, it basically sets up the HTML document. And then it tells you to go select the heading info address and put that here. City, get the phone.
So on the XML document, there's a tag right at the beginning that says use XLS to convert this over.
Yeah, I believe so. So let's go back to this style sheet statement is green, but it's not a comment. It says to use the resume XSL. So it tells it that the style sheet type is XSL. I did a lot of this stuff at one point, but the thing is, it's just so much easier just to write it in HTML. The advantage of doing it in XML is that it's really, I could output it in a lot of different ways if I wanted, right? Because you can have as many XSLT sheets as you want, and you can this is to make it into HTML, but there are sheets like this where you can make it into a PDF, you can make it into Word. They're a lot more complicated. HTML is probably the easiest transformation. You can also, with the one of the advantages of an XML document is it's pretty easy just to excerpt a part of it if you don't want to display the whole thing. You know, you can make like almost an infinite number of documents out of that one base document. The World Wide Web Consortium saw this as the future of the web until Google came along and forced HTML5 down their throats.
That was the birth of those video windows that pop open.
Yeah.
Start playing and you cannot shut off.
Yeah, I mean, and HTML5 was developed primarily to kill Flash.
Yeah. It didn't. It's just a whole nother problem.
Yeah.
Now you can't shut off the videos, or they'll just start playing automatically, full screen or down. One's irritating motion, one's down in the corner.
Google
Yeah.
has also released the AMP project too a year or two ago, and that's basically meant for mobile development. It's HTML for the web.
Right. With HTML5, one of the things, the World Wide Web Consortium